So, lads, I don't know exactly what the Chicago Sky are doing, but this just seems crazy. And let me know in the comment section if you guys think I'm right or I'm wrong with this, but for me, this just seems crazy. It's about Chennedy Carter. Chennedy Carter has come off her best season in the WNBA, where no ifs, ands, or buts about it, she should have been an all-star. That's all I'm going to say. She was absolutely robbed of an all-star. She was one of the top 15 players in the WNBA last season when healthy. And not only that, is that obviously she had the situation where she cheap shot at Caitlin Clark. But after that, Chennedy Carter didn't really have that many. Actually, she cheap shot at Breanna Mabry too. But she's having her best. She's coming off her best WNBA season. She's had her best off season, an off season which she literally won a sportsmanship award in China. And trust me, they don't just give these type of awards to people for the sake of it. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, you don't get one of these awards just for the sake of it if you are in China. Like, especially because the whole, like, during when they're writing, doing the write-up for her award, how blunt they are in China. They basically said there's a bunch of situations where if this was last year, she would have flipped out or she would have started a fight. But you know what? She actually didn't. But reading this from Annie Constable, and look, there is literally one person when it comes to WNBA news that I will trust every single word they say, and it's Annie Constable, because she's broke so much news early. Like, she has absolutely broke so much news because she's one of the very few people in the WNBA media that, as far as that, like, in the knows, and I'm not talking about people that are on TV, but I'm talking about, like, journalists that are real journalists. Like, you've got the people that claim the Indiana the kids at the Indiana Fever crowd are dangerous, and talking about the ominous crowd. You've got your one Roberta who's like insulted Caitlin Clark as a person nonstop, and it's just made up stuff and calls coaches by nicknames. Like, you've got Natalie Esquire, who is reacting positively with unhinged people making racist comments about Caitlin Clark. Like, these are, like, I don't trust a word any of these people will say. And then there's the people on Twitter, that are just random Twitter accounts that are for some reason in the nose. Annie Constable is the only person that I will trust, to be honest. And this is what they've said. If an offer is not extended, the player becomes an unrestricted free agent. Pagliocca has 3 restricted free agents he could send qualifying offers to. Guards Dana Evans and Chennedy Carter, and forward Michaela Onyenwere. Obviously, they're going to keep Michaela Onyenwere. I rate Dana Evans a lot higher than a lot of people do. Like, I didn't think she was good this year. Shot way too many floaters, but I think, like, the fact is she was, second and sixth woman of the year before for a good Chicago Sky team. And she was a, like, contributor when they won a championship. So I don't think she's good with bigs. So if I was the Sky, I would get rid of her, but I actually don't think Dana Evans is a bad player at all. It says here, expect Pagliocca to extend these offers to Evans and Onyenwere, while Carter will be a free agent to test the market as free to test the market as an unrestricted free agent. The Sky's unrestricted free agents, Diamond Shields, Izzy Harrison, Bree Turner, all expected to sign elsewhere. So that is huge. That is absolutely huge, because Chennedy Carter, again, she just dropped 40 points again yesterday. She is one of the most dynamic guards in the entire WNBA. And obviously, if she could stop getting in her own way, Chennedy Carter would be is one of the top tier players in the W. But I do find it tough to see why a team wouldn't take a chance on Chennedy Carter, because even if Chennedy Carter's still a headache, she's less of a headache than she was 3 years ago. There's no question about that. She is less of a headache. She gives 110% every single time she sets foot on the floor. And if you have, like, all it needs is a coach or a system or something to be able to just get her at her best, and she is one of the best players in the entire WNBA. Like, If the Fever lose Kelsey Mitchell, if the Fever don't lose Kelsey Mitchell, don't even look at Chennedy Carter. And I don't know, like Chennedy Carter is one of the types of players that I think will literally play anywhere. I don't think there's any, like if she's available, I don't think there's going to be any like issue playing with anyone from her perspective. But I do think when it comes to Chennedy Carter is that I think the Aces should be looking for her. If the Chicago Sky are just not getting Carter. And because the reality is that maybe she'll go, they don't want to give a qualifying offer because they don't think they can afford her in restricted free agency maybe. But I still don't know. I think losing Chennedy Carter is incredibly dumb for the Chicago Sky. I think she's that level player. But like, if I'm the Aces and I'm Becky Hammon, I'm taking the risk because the Aces need a risk to win the championship next year. They do. They need, especially if they lose Kelsey Plum. Like, if they lose Kelsey Plum or the Fever lose Kelsey Mitchell, you've got the best 6 woman in the entire WNBA, ready to come in and Chennedy Carter if she can just get her shit together. And if she can't, you just fire her. I think she's worth the risk. I genuinely do. There is absolutely no way that a potential, at her best, top 7 player in the WNBA, who you can probably get into cheap, is not worth the risk. I mean that. It doesn't matter what team you are. The only way she is not worth the risk is if you are looking to play, if you're a rebuilding team. If you're a rebuilding team, you don't want someone that may or may not, that if at their best can like bring you up to a stage where you're not going to get any like high draft picks because she's that good. But at the same time, if you're a team looking for a championship and you're like dead set on it, like a Lynx or a Liberty, you don't go for either. But if you are a team who are relatively close to a championship, who are maybe one absolute X factor away from being contenders, the Aces, the Fever, the Storm, I think she's worth the risk. I think for those 3 teams, maybe the Phoenix Mercury, she's worth the risk. But first of all, why the Chicago Sky supposedly are not looking for Chennedy Carter? It's just, or supposedly not looking to keep Chennedy Carter. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think she's worth the risk for Chicago. And she's shown in Chicago, she's not, like, she's always going to be a little bit crazy, but, like, it can be contained. She likes playing with Angel Reese. I don't know why Chicago aren't doing this, especially with how she's been in the offseason. Either way, though, like, I think no matter what, she's still in the W next season. And, yeah, if it flames out this next season, she's probably gone. But I think for a player as dynamic as Chennedy Carter, if you're the Aces, that's got to be your number 1 free agency target, especially if you lose Kelsey Plum. And even if you don't lose Kelsey Plum, like, I get it. Tiffany Hayes was good off the bench. Chennedy Carter's way better. Like, if the Aces run it back, they're not winning a championship. They're not. I think there's a very slight chance of the Aces winning a championship. I think them somehow figuring out how to get Chennedy Carter at her best, which is easier said than done, might be their only chance. I think for the Fever, if you lose Kelsey Mitchell, I think you have to at least go for Chennedy Carter and just hope it works out. And if it doesn't work out, okay, cool, we made a mistake. Let's just go and cut her. And let's lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. But I just think, like, she has top 5 in the WNBA level talent. And I just think I still think at this point in time, especially what we saw last season and especially what she's doing in China, right now, I think she is worth the risk for almost any team. And you guys can disagree, that's fine, because it's never really a basketball conversation with Chennedy Carter. It's whether or not she's worth the headache. And I personally think for a lot of teams, especially the Chicago Sky, I thought she was worth the headache for the Sky, to be completely honest. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.